let's get started. Well, the first thing I want to tell you, if you have an iPad or access to an iPad, I recommend you download free apps. The first two apps are free on the Garmin store. The TXi Trainer. So you can download that, and then you can practice right on your iPad, going from a split screen, adding engine instruments on the right side or the left side to see what a 10-inch screen looks like, how it functions, how the 7-inch screen looks like it functions. So that's a very nice, very useful thing when you're talking to students. The TXi Trainer. It also has a little autopilot on there, so you can put in altitude, heading, and airspeed, and in essence fly or simulate flying the TXi. Same thing for the GTN. We've upgraded the GTN Trainer so that it too, you can fly the unit. You can also turn on ADS-B traffic to show target trend, relative motion vectors Dave was talking about, or the weather radar to see how that works, all on your iPad, and then hook it up to a television, an HDMI to a television, and you've got a training environment, a training tool. So it's a great thing. The next third app is the Garmin Pilot app. Now you all should have received one of those. Garmin Pilot is an electronic flight bag, so you can do your pre-flight weather planning, you can follow flight plan. But we're also using Garmin Pilot as an essential part of the Garmin ecosystem. What I mean by that is once you do your flight planning, and if you add a Flight Stream 510 that we were talking about, you can send your Bluetooth your flight plan into the GTN. It helps keep the aircraft and your portable synchronized. And likewise, if the information is coming the other way, coming from the panel, if you're getting ADS-B in traffic and weather, you're going to be seeing the same high-fidelity traffic information on your iPad. And you're getting it from your certified external antennas instead of from something that's necessarily sitting there. We make a dash top little DDL39, like you see on the top of the TXi there. But the whole idea of Flight Stream is that you have synchronized ADS-B in, synchronized position, synchronized AHRS. You're using your AHRS from the actual unit from the TXi, and it's just sharing it with the two iPads. Okay. So we're going to talk about GTN updates, GFC 600 Autopilot. I've got a little more of the GFC 500 Autopilot as well. The G500 and 600 TXi, primary and multifunction displays. We have a phase-out trade-in program. If any of you fly or know anybody that flies with a current G500 or a G600, this is a no-brainer upgrade now, because all you have to do is bring it into Banyan. They'll recut the panel, because the TXi is a 20% bigger screen. They're going to repin the connector so that it can connect to the TXi display. And then it can use your existing magnetometer, air data computer, and AHRS. All the infrastructure that you already have installed in your plane, you can reuse with minimal labor for the upgrade. So again, if you're a current G500 customer, that is a great update. Yep. Okay. So let's start with the GTN. So the GTN is a GPS NavCom. I'm just comparing it to our previous generation GPS NavCom on the right, the GNS 430 and 530 watts. Notice that these are separate components. So you got a separate transponder, GPS NavCom number 1, GPS NavCom number 2, and transponder, whereas the GTN has GPS NavCom and then remotely mounted transponder right here and remotely mounted audio panel that you control right here on the touch screen. So why do you go to an integrated panel? Well, they say that 1 inch on an aircraft panel is like a foot in a boat. It's pretty precious real estate, right? So you can save about 3 inches of vertical space on the panel. And if you can save vertical space, that means that you can pull more components close in to your primary flight of view, so you're not having to reach all the way across the panel and look across the panel to control and display the information that you want. Okay, so the GTN features airwaves, Garmin Safe Taxi standard. So we scanned in 2,000, over 2,000 of the 5,000 U.S. airports. The number is being increased all the time. We're going to show you, actually, if you get the GTX 345 Dave was talking about, we will overlay the airplanes taxiing on the taxiway and then color coding the targets according to their speed. If they're going slower than 30 knots, they're color coded brown. But then you can watch that target go from the taxiway, roll on the runway, and accelerate. It changes from brown to white and adds a target trend relative motion vector. So you can instantly tell if someone's flying over the airport or taxiing on the taxiway just by the color of the target. We have terrain alerting, terrain awareness and warning system. That's just the software enablement on the GTN. Gives you verbal call-outs, verbal and visual call-outs if you're approaching terrain or obstacles. 10 or 16 watt radios, either ADSB, TCAS, or ClearCAS traffic. What's ClearCAS? Well, as if we need another acronym in aviation, here we go. Correlated Location Enhanced Collision Avoidance System. So what that means is we're taking the benefits of TCAS, the range benefits, because our TCAS systems can go out to 80 nautical miles, and it's correlating it or combining it on one screen with ADSB traffic, which has the target trend, relative motion vectors, right? So you can be detecting a target 80 miles away, but when it gets within 15 nautical miles of your airplane, it automatically adds the target trend vector so that you can more readily, you're getting the benefits of both systems on one screen. Okay, a variety of different weather systems. You can actually show, 5 different weather sources on the GTN. Well, we got 4 showing here, but you can show WX500 Storm Scope. You can show onboard weather radar, or DWX70, Dave was showing you. XM, we can do ADSB-in. We have Iridium. It's called Connect weather. So if you're flying internationally, if you're going out to the Bahamas or down to South America, you can get an Iridium transceiver control from the GTN 750 and have international weather in the cockpit. You also have SATCOM, you have satellite text, you have satellite emails, and you have position tracking. So if you are monitoring a fleet of aircraft, if you've ever used FlightAware, you know, you type in the end number, you can track an airplane. Well, this extends the range of FlightAware, basically, down over to international locations. So you've got a lot of capability on the GTN. Remote transponder. So again, you control the transponder, and if you have 2 GTNs, once you click that, it synchronizes both together. So you have redundant control and display of 1 or 2 transponders from each GTN. Yeah. Garmin, the source of the weather is Garmin Flight Data Services, and we collect all that up in Minnesota, and then it is sent via the Iridium satellites and then received. The products or the benefits you get as a pilot, if you're flying over Western Europe, North America, or Australia, you can get NEXRAD. Everywhere else, you can get graphical METARs, winds and temperatures aloft, just anything that's put out by sort of the ICAO standard weather information. Subscription prices of GSR 56. I believe it's around 150. You know what? Let me find that out for you. I'll get you the answer. Okay. Okay, you can also have a remote audio panel. So not only do you have a touchscreen controlled ADSB out-in transponder with traffic displayed on the display here, and since the 345 has Bluetooth on 2 additional iPads or Era 660s, you also have a remote GMA 35 Bluetooth audio panel. So you can, if you've got a passenger that prefers to use their own music on their iPhone, they can Bluetooth it to the audio panel, and then you, as a pilot, can select who's listening to that. The other nice feature we have, and we'll show you more about that in a moment, is intelligent voice command. So you can add a push to command button on the right side of your yoke, push the button to speak the commands, and it carries out 300 different verbal commands. on your GTN. It's kind of like Siri or Alexa for your airplane. So very nice capabilities there. And you can put in Garmin flight charts or jet views. Geo-reference, of course. Fuel range, great feature on the GTN. So the system knows when you start out, you tell it how much fuel you have on board. The system knows what your fuel flow rate is because it's hooked up, the computer's hooked up to your mixture control. And it knows what your wind-corrected ground speed is. So then it will plot two wind-corrected fuel range rings. The outer range shows you range to fuel exhaustion. The inner range shows you the range to land with 1 hour reserve, or 45 minutes, whatever you choose as your reserve. But where this gets really nice is when you can overlay not only the fuel status, but your current position, your course, and weather. So, for example, if you were going into an airport and you put graphical VTARs on there. So the VTARs, you know, if it's purple or yellow, it's IFR. If it's green or blue, it's VFR. So if you saw that, let's say you were just trying to stay VFR, and if you saw that your destination airport, the VTAR changed from blue to purple, or magenta, then you could pick another blue airport that's inside the inner fuel ring. You'll land VFR with an hour reserve. It's updated 5 times a second, right? A lot faster than pilots can look ahead. So this is a great safety feature for fuel management. Do any of you fly in the Civil Air Patrol? Local air? Okay, good. Search and rescue cabins are enabled on the GTN. So, and we have animated next rack. So if you see a cumulonimbus up ahead, it's nice to know which way relative to your course it's going, so you can turn upwind of that thunderstorm. So if it has hail coming downward, you don't hit that at 150 or 200 knots. Right? Okay, so the voice command, you need 3 parts for voice command. You need a GTN 750, you need the GMA 35 audio panel, or 350, you need the push to command button. And usually if you fly an airplane with a yoke, they put it on the right trigger finger, because most airplanes have the left trigger finger for your VHF comm. So you push the button, you speak the command in English, you just connect this here, and release the button, and then it'll carry out those 300 commands. So you can do things like show traffic. So we're showing that combined traffic I was talking about here. So this is from your TCAS 1, traditional TCAS diamond, right? The ADS-B traffic with Garmin patented target trend relative motion vectors is right here. So if you were looking at a traditional display, and if you only had those diamonds up there, you'd have to be heads down looking at it until it got, you know, within 1 minute of your plane. And you get traffic, you look up, everyone gets high blood pressure trying to look at the plane, right? Well, the target trend, the little chevron is the ground track, the green line is the relative motion vector. So pay attention to the green line, just zoom in until it declutters, and you can know where to look out for the most traffic that's trending towards your position. Okay. So we've also added visual approaches with the latest system software. It's actually 6.41, this is showing 6.4, but the latest system software on the GTN, we've added a new set of approaches to the approach library. You know, normally when you go on the GTN, you pull up the ILS approaches first, the VOR, then you have the LTV WAS approaches. This adds new visual approaches on the bottom of the approach library. So this is enabling you to have a stabilized glide path into every surveyed grass strip and hard surface runway in the country. So surveyed means that the airport manager, not every private airport has that, but if your airport manager registers it with Jepson and the FAA, they measure the touchdown zone elevation and the dimensions of the airport, And then we draw a line 3 miles from the end of the runway, high enough to establish a 3-degree glide path. You can couple your autopilot with that, just like an LPV WAS approach or an ILS approach. Really, really nice. So when we talk about display compatibility, I want you all to think about your airplanes. Doesn't matter if it's a 172 or a Citation XL. Think about where you want to display approach information in your airplane. Think about where you want to display ADS-B in information in your plane. Now, our customers always fall into one of 3 categories. First category is they want to leave the panel alone. They just want to see it on their iPad. Okay? Maybe it's for budget reasons. Maybe that they just like the panel the way it is. Second group of customers wants that traffic and approach information only on their panel. Right? They don't want any loose equipment in the airplane. They don't want any loose ADS-B receivers up on top of the dash or anything like that. Third group of customers wants to see it everywhere. And we can do all 3 of them. So, you know, if you put in the GTX 345, for example, you can connect it to any Garmin display, the GNS 430 WAS, GTN, and you can Bluetooth it to an Era 660, like the one on the right side of the G5 there. That can be your ADS-B in display. You can do 2 of those, or 2 iPads, or 2 Android pads running Garmin Pilot. Okay. All right, so we've added the visual approaches. We've also added power lines to the obstacle database. So, you know, with our relative terrain shading, any mountain or cell tower, if that mountain or cell tower is 1,000 feet, say that's the mountain, 1,000 feet or less below you, it'll color code yellow. If it's 100 feet below, at or above your altitude, they color codes red. So we use that same coloring conventions for the high tension power lines. Right? And if you add terrain awareness and warning system, that's an optional software enablement on the GTN, it will give you a 1-minute predictive call out. So when you're 1 minute away from hitting, it says caution, terrain. You get within 30 seconds of hitting, it says pull up, to let you know. And you're getting visual and verbal call outs. Okay? All right, so it's 3-degree glide path. Remember, with these visual approaches, that it's a visual approach. You got to look out the window. Okay? Now the benefit is, a lot of the airports down here in Florida, you have the triangle airports, the World War II airports, and you might have LPV, WAS, or ILS on 2 or 3 of the runways, but not on all 6 runways. Now you're coming into, imagine, you're flying into one of those runways at night, the wind shifts around to one of the runways that you didn't have an ILS or an LPV approach to. Well, now you can do a couple stabilized approach down to that runway. Okay. That's what they look like. We've also added the ability, using that same technology for the visual approaches, we've added, if you're going into a GPS approach that traditionally was an LNAV approach, which means it's just a minimum descent altitude, typically 600 feet AGL, you can now have an advisory glide path down to that minimum descent altitude. So again, the idea is that you're not doing step downs where you have a lot of power changes and a lot of changes. The idea is that you can do a stabilized descent down to your minimum descent altitude. Now, for the Part 25 folks, we talked about how you can control the GTX 345 transponder. You can also control, for TCAS 2 equipped Part 25 airplanes, the GTX 3000 from the GTN 750. And the display then, if you get a resolution advisory, the TCAS 2 resolution advisory, it adds a 3rd color right here. So you have blue, yellow, and now you have red. So if there's a resolution advisory, it doesn't have command bars that tells you to fly up or down, like a TCAS 2 primary flight display, like our G5000 is, for example. But it will indicate the relative bearing to that target. Okay? stream. Got a little graphic here, so just to review what Dave said, the idea with Database Concierge is you download your database. This is kind of like, to use your Mark 25 jet parlance, this is like single point refueling in your jet. This is single point database updates. So you download your databases on the iPad, you put the Flight Stream 510 into the top slot of the GTN 750, the 750 updates the 650, and it pushes the update out to 2 TXIs, 1 or 2 TXIs, with one operation. So faster, less error prone than individually updating SD cards on every display in your cockpit. Okay. So, we're going to talk Autopilot. So we've got 3 Autopilot solutions we're going to talk about. First, uses the G5 HSI right here, so that you can have heading out and course deviation out from the G5 HSI, and it will talk to a big list of third-party autopilots from ARC Cessna, from Century, from STEC, and from Bendix King. So for some of our customers flying smaller aircraft, this is a nice solution because they don't have to put in a brand new autopilot. They can use, if you have a functional autopilot now and it has heading function, chances are this solution will work for you. The second solution we'll talk about is the GFC 500. So that's a Garmin solution where we're replacing the original autopilot servos. And that's using the G5 attitude indicator as the attitude source. And then the third solution is the GFC 600. That's a higher performance autopilot. It's designed to work with our TXi and other primary flight displays. We'll show you how that works in a second. Okay, yes? Will the GFC 500 work with the G500? We are investigating that right now. In other words, we are testing, Dave was talking about the HERF lightning testing, where we zap the equipment with lightning and pressurize it, depressurize it, do all those things. So we're doing that testing on the G5 so that it could do double duty. It could be a backup to the TXi, and then you could use the AHRS from that backup G5 as the AHRS source for the GFC 500. So for some of the airplanes, that's going to be a nice solution if it passes that test. So we're doing that testing right now. Yes?
What did this say on the B-58?
Yeah, and I'll have a whole list. I'll have a whole list of these airplanes. Yeah, for sure. We have the B-58, B-55 now. It's STC down the GT the 600. Incidentally, on all these autopilot STC status, we've been getting a lot of questions on that. We just added a section to the GFC 600 product page on Garmin.com. You go on the page and you click supported aircraft, and it'll show you the whole list of airplanes that are currently STC, that we are close, or that we're in flight test for right now, and then the ones that we expect to finish within 12 months. So you can see, and I've got that list later in the presentation, I'll show it to you. Okay, so just a quick review of the G5. So the G5, there are 3 different versions of it. There's an attitude indicator, a DG, or the HSI. Our HSI kit, in terms of autopilot, comes standard with a magnetometer so that instead of GPS ground track, you have actual heading, because typically you're going to be replacing an EG in a round-down aircraft. And then it also comes with an interface box so that you can display your, you can see it over here a little better, you can display your glide slope and your localizer status, and can talk to the third-party autopilots. So that HSI comes standard with both the magnetometer and that interface box. So if you combine the first one and the third one, stack it vertically, that's been the home run solution for our mostly single engine, typically under 6,000 pound aircraft. Very, very popular system. And with the autopilot, it's the right solution for a lot of customers. Yeah. Which one? G5 for helicopters. It's not currently DO-160 tested for vibration. I don't know if we're going to do that. We'll have to look into that. I'm not sure. Okay. All right, so the HSI can talk to those 4 types of autopilots, legacy ones from Century, Cessna ARC, Honeywell Phoenix King, or STEC. So the next step up is GFC 500 autopilot. So here we have a Cessna 172. It's a mid-70s era with dual G5s, GMA 3350 Bluetooth audio panel with intelligence voice command, GTN 650 GPS NavCom, a GNC 255 NavCom, so that's your number 2 com and number 2 nav. GTX 345 ADSB out-in transponder with AR's Bluetooth and dual ADSB in receiver, and then your GFC 500 controller on the bottom there. So again, for this middle autopilot, GFC 500, it uses the AHRS from the G5 as the AHRS source that drives the autopilot. Now, the controller actually has a second AHRS in it that does integrity monitoring. So if it sees a mismatch, it'll automatically disconnect. Now, I want to point out a couple of things, and this is true of both the GFC 500 and the 600. This is a great new series of autopilots, and as Dave was saying, it's taking a lot of the capabilities of our GFC 700 that's in integrated flight decks, and now for retrofit customers. It has things like, if you've been flying one of the older autopilots, a lot of those are rate-based autopilots, and a limitation of rate-based autopilots are in vertical mode. If you're in a Cessna 172 and you put it in a 2,000 foot per minute climb, what's going to happen? You're going to stall, yeah, because it's going to try to hold that 2,000 foot per minute climb, but eventually it just doesn't have enough power to do it. So with an attitude-based autopilot, like the GFC 500, 600, or 700, now you can do indicated airspeed climbs. So to use the Skyhawk example, you're going with an 80 knot best rated climb, it will adjust the pitch to hold that best rated climb all the way up. It has stall protection. So it not only has altitude pre-select, stall protection, it has one-touch level button. So if you get in unusual attitude, hit one button, it puts you back straight to level. It also has electronic stability protection. That means with the autopilot on or off, it gives you overspeed and underspeed protection. It gives you overbank protection. So, the NTSB says that one of the major causes of accidents are controlled flight and terrain. And one of the categories, the primary categories of controlled flight and terrain are the base and final turn, right? So, pilot is looking at the traffic, what's going on at the airport, and he overshoots. So he banks it, he cranes it in to try to get back, line up with the runway, and it stalls. And you're close to the ground, so there isn't enough room to recover. Well, if you have a GFC 500, 600 with electronic stability protection, now when you go more than 30 degrees of bank, it'll start pushing back. You go 45 or 60 degrees of bank, it really pushes back. Now, you can turn it off, you can overpower it. And we have clutchless DC brushless servos, which have a back drive, so you can overpower the autopilot all day long. It's not going to hurt the servos. These are really top-grade servos that we're using. So, and they're programmed, like Dave was saying. Each of those servos, pitch, roll, yaw, damper, they're all custom programmed to the flight envelope of the aircraft. And that's what gives them that great performance. I was flying with Scott, and similar to what Dave's experienced, we were in our A36 Bonanza, and we did a 90-degree intercept. We have an LPV WAS approach in Olathe, the south side of Kansas City. Did a 90-degree intercept. We were at 165 knots, and it nailed it. It just came in and nailed it. And it's typically the GFC 700 autopilot where you see that performance. Well, these autopilots have the same smarts that the 700 has. Yeah. only, so his question was, will our servos work with other autopilot control heads? The answer is no, but our control head, the G5 HSI, will work with the other autopilot servos. So, and we have, incidentally, if you look at one of the big brochures in the middle, we have the G5, the GFC 500 autopilot, the TXi, the GFC 600 autopilot, and the ADS-B solutions, all contained in this brochure. We put them all together for you. So if you grab one of these, it'll have all the new products that we were talking about, okay, during the presentation. Okay, so let's look what it looks like. So you have your mode controller, you got your G5, typical configuration, you know, and it really depends on the airplane with the autopilots, whether or not we put a fourth servo or third axis, the yaw damper. Cessna 172 really doesn't need the yaw damper, but at Baron and Bonanza, it kind of does too. So it depends, in the opinion of our flight test department, whether or not we offer a yaw damper. But all of them have a pitch and roll servo with optional electric pitch trim. Now the Garmin electric pitch trim is pretty nice. It's got auto trim feature. If you've ever flown some of the competitive autopilots, and if you're flying along at 7,000 feet, say, an ATC says, new altimeter setting 3002. So you put that in, now you see you're flying at 7,100 feet, right? Well, in some of the competitive autopilots, you've got to activate vertical speed mode, put it back, tap some buttons, you know, it's an extra workload to get it to recapture. With the Garmin's is much easier. You simply put in the new barometer setting, get arms, and recaptures the altitude automatically. So it really reduces your workload. The other nice thing about our servos is that they are custom designed with the electric pitch trim. It trims fast when you're flying slow, and it trims slow when you're flying fast, as you would want it to. So it's absolutely customized. When we do an STC with the airplanes, I'm going to show you the STC list in a moment, we customize it to that aircraft's flight profile. Okay, so now when you're looking at the displays, and this is true of the G5 and also of the TXi, I'm going to talk about in a second, an easy way to think about which display you want is think about in your airplane what type of approaches you want to show and display in your plane. Now, if you told me, Joe, I want to just do ILS approaches, that's it, then I would recommend to you to pair up your display with a NavCom, because it has ILS VOR approaches in it, VHF frequencies. If you told me you want to do ILS and LPV WAS approaches only, then I'd say, you know, GNS 430 WAS, GNS 530, great option. But if you said, hey Joe, I want to do ILS approaches, LPV WAS approaches, and coupled visual approaches, then the GTN does that. So when you're thinking about the displays, think about where you want to put your ADS-B in traffic, think about where you want the approach information displayed, and what type of approaches you want to do. And that will drive the decision on which navigator you put in. Okay. So that's what we were talking about before. So if you want the ILS only, you put in the GNC 255 NavCom. If you want ILS, LPV, and visual approaches, put in the GTN. And that will display your lateral and vertical on not only the attitude indicator, but also parroted down here on the HSI. So you have dual glide slope, dual localizer, and if you have a CI 106, you know, the little glide slope localizer indicator, you really don't need that anymore, because it's all on the HSI. Okay, yeah. The GAT 29B is going to give you the following features it will add to it. It would give you the ability to show the approaches from the GTN on the G5. It would give you GPS roll steering. It's going to give you the ability to have heading out If you press this to heading, and then that would drive heading out on your autopilot. So the GAD 29 is going to give you approaches, GPS roll steering, and yeah, those two major functions, and course deviation. So if there's, if you have the needle off to the right, it'll intercept the course. Yes, it'll work with the 430s and 530s. Yeah, except with the 430 or 530, those do not have LPV WAS. So you would be able to have lateral guidance, but not the vertical. 430W, 530W would have vertical and lateral. Yeah. Right. So here we have a Cessna 172 with dual G5s flush mount. That's a recent addition to the STC. GTN 750, that's GPS NavCom number 1. So that's the nav. If you're doing an LPV WAS approach, for example, that's showing on both the G5s here. GNC 255 here, that's showing here. Notice it's labeled nav 2. So that's your backup, right? Your backup ILS only display. And then you have the GFC 500 down the bottom. Now some of our customers, now here's another one you want to think about. With your airplane, think about where you want to put the autopilot. Now, some of our airline customers who have a hobby aircraft, they like the autopilot controller up on top. Others like it down below because it's sort of near the throttle. That's why we brought these. Take one of these. These are pictures of all the components we're talking about here. Put some cellophane tape on the back of it, move it around in your panel, take a picture of it, send the picture to Banyan, and they'll help make it happen for you. But you want to think about where you want to see the traffic, where do you want to see your approaches, where do you want your autopilot control. Okay? All right.
Joe?
Yeah.
Can you go back to that last picture for a second? I didn't see a backup HSI.
Backup HSI. Well, yeah, yeah, that would just be your primary right there. So if you lost power, you have a 4-hour backup battery for it. Yeah, you can't switch the G5s from nav 1 to nav 2.
So it's not required to have a big backup HSI?
No, you're not. No, it can replace the DG and the AI. Okay, so STC status update. So we have the whole list of Cessna 172s. This is for the GFC 500, the Garmin Autopilot, and Cessna 182 currently available. We are adding the Piper PA-28, 180, 181. And in the second quarter, we're adding the Debonair F-33 and S-35 and B-35 Bonanza. So we have the A36 Bonanza already covered with the GFC 600 autopilot, the bigger autopilot. I'll show you in a moment. Now, if you're thinking about a Garmin autopilot, any of them, again, go to the Garmin, the GFC 600 or GFC 500 product page on Garmin.com. There's a tab there that says supported aircraft, and it'll show you the current status in 3 categories. Currently STC, the ones that were currently in flight test, and the ones that we expect to complete within the next 12 months. So you can see if your aircraft is on one of those 2 autopilot STC lists. And by the way, if you're a member of a flying club, let's say you fly a Cessna 177 Cardinal, and you and your friends would all like to put in the GFC 500 or 600, we have an email address you can send telling us of your interest in doing that. We are always looking for flight test aircraft for our autopilot. The way it works is we would use your aircraft for approximately 6 months. We give you a smoking deal on the autopilot. And we have, so you would get a nice upgrade to your panel, and we take care of any maintenance items that come up during flight test, of course. So, yeah.
You mentioned G5 going for a single engine aircraft under 6,000 pounds?
Yeah, initially the STC. Yeah. Okay, so the GFC 600. So currently approved on the GFC 600 is the Beech 55 Baron, A36 Banyan, and Cessna 182. Cessna 182 has the distinction of being the only aircraft that's approved for both the GFC 500 and the GFC 600. I don't know why, but we have that. We are developing the B-58 Baron and the Cessna 340. That's in flight test right now. And then, in addition to that, we have the Cessna 414. These are the ones that we expect within the next 12 months for GFC 600. Cessna 414, Cessna 421, Cessna 208 Bravo, Grand Caravan, Piper PA-46, and Cicada TBM 700 850. And incidentally, notice these two are turbine aircraft, both powered by PT6 engines. PT6 engine, you know, right now we're going to talk about the TXi with the engine indication system right on the PFD. So currently we can do 4- or 6-cylinder Lycoming or Continental single or twin engine piston aircraft. By this time next year, we're going to have our first retrofit turbine aircraft, EIS, for the TXi display. That will be for the PT6 engine. So additional PT6 powered airplanes are in the cards. We're looking at other engines as well, but right now the PT6 is just the numbers are out there for it's a large number of aircraft with that. So and this list, by the way, this is subject to change and will change. So if you want to see what the current status is, go to the Garmin.com site, go on the Autopilot site and look at supported aircraft, and you can see the current status. Okay, so GFC 600. This is the most customizable retrofit panel we've ever built. It gives you the most capability by far of anything we've ever done on the retrofit side, and for a touchscreen. Now in the past, you know, a year ago, we did not have a retrofit Autopilot. We didn't have a retrofit EIS. Well, we did for the King Air. We have the G1000, right? But for other aircraft, we didn't have retrofit EIS. We didn't have retrofit Autopilot. We didn't have the ability to do a standby display. Well, we can do all three of those things now with the TXi. So let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm sorry, we're going to do the GFC 600 and the TXi. So the G600, GFC 600 is a higher performance autopilot for up to twin turbine business jet capability. Now we know how to build turbine autopilots. Our GFC 700 is in airplanes like the Citation Sovereign and Citation 10 and G5000 on the factory at Learjet 70 and 75. So we have the ability to build high performance servos. And this is a great example of one. It's TSO, which means that we have a staff of engineers who torture test all of our components. They hit it with lightning, they pressurize it, they bake it, they freeze them, make sure that they all pass very high standard of test. It also is sealed against dust and spray, moisture, so that they can handle the harsh environment in an unpressurized nose cone, for example, of a 25 business jet. We have the controller. It's a little bit different than the GFC 500. The 500 has all the controls, including the altitude pre-select and the heading knob, right on the autopilot controller. With GFC 600, we have those functions on the TXi, and/or you can get an auxiliary GCU 485 button and knob display. So again, and I'm going to show you how that all works. We have the autopilot enunciations here. The G500, G600 will automatically show autopilot enunciations on the top of the primary flight display. If you have our Garmin Autopilot hooked up to third-party PFDs like an Aspen or a Century HSI or other third-party systems, then you'll want to put in this Autopilot annunciator here. So you can put that in any case. Okay, so a lot of the same features as with the GFC 500. We have, except we have the display, your Autopilot mode status display right on the front of the Autopilot. Again, with the TXi, you're having it in both places. Level button, altitude button, vertical speed, indicated airspeed. So again, it's a attitude-based Autopilot. VNAV. So one of the limitations of the GTN right now is that it can only do single waypoint VNAV. We're correcting that. But we are planning for when the GTN has that multi-leg VNAV capability, as is being demanded by our Part 25 customers, so that you can fly a VNAV procedure. So if you're coming out of 30,000 feet, coming into Miami, you'll be able to fly that and have the system automatically capture those altitudes. So we've got some nice capabilities coming there. Yaw Amber Flight Director Autopilot, and this has got all the capabilities you would expect. It has, of course, electronic stability protection. It has level button. It has the ability to add control wheel steering, flight director, takeoff go-around button. You can do coupled go-arounds, just like in the G1000 NXi, the larger integrated flight decks. You can do a coupled go-arounds. So if you're coming in on an ILS, you get to a 200-foot decision height. Traditionally, you would turn off the Autopilot and then make your decision. Am I going to land? Can I see the runway and land, or do we go around? Well, if you don't see the runway, with the 600, you hit takeoff go-around button. It automatically pitches up the flight director, full power, flaps up, gear up, away you go. It takes you to the missed approach hold point, figures out the hold entry, and flies the Autopilot the hold for you. Very, very nice workload reduction. Now, let's say that you get to that decision height, and you're at 200 feet AGL, and you say, well, it's time to go around. And so you pitch up, and you put the flaps up and gear up, but you forget to put the power in, right? This system has electronic stability protection, so it is not going to let you stall. It will gently lower the nose to keep you from stalling, and it'll say airspeed, airspeed. It'll let you know. Hey, pilot, power, right? So it's got a lot of nice safety features. You've got this nice control wheel. Both the 500 and the 600 have that. So if you're setting the indicated airspeed climb to descent or your vertical speed, you don't have to twist. You can twist if you want to, but you can also use that nice control wheel rather than Autopilot controller. Okay. Mark width measurement, just like the GFC 500, that means it will fit in a standard width panel. And we'll see that in some Beechcraft products in a moment. One-touch level button, VNAV, indicated airspeed. Talked about the high-capacity servos. GI 285 mode annunciator. You can add an air data computer that clips onto the back of the GFC 600 Autopilot so that it is a completely autonomous system. So that if you lost your primary flight display, you could continue flying the airplane just on the Autopilot. It has its own ARs, it has its own air data computer. So a lot of redundancy, you can see that with the GFC 600. So what can you display it on? What can you see it on? Well, you can see it on a G500 or a TXi. You could display it on an Aspen. You can display it on a Bendix King HSI or on a Century HSI. Sigmatech 4000C HSI. So if you use the GFC 600 Autopilot with the third-party display, make sure that you have the GI 285 mode annunciator on the top so that you know right in the primary field of view. So, and again, your installer will go through that with you. Okay, in terms of the navigator, same thing I was talking about before. If you want ILS only display, get a VHF only navigator. You want GPS without roll steering, well, You do a Honeywell KLN89 or 94, or other standard kind of first-gen nav. If you want it all, iOS, LPV, visual approaches, GPS roll steering, GTN 750 or 650, way to go. Okay, so what does it look like? So here we have, again, we have the third-party HSI over here, so I'm going to have my mode enunciator up here. GMC 605 controller, roll, pitch, roll servo, electric pitch trim, and if I upgrade to add the yaw damper, so if it's a 3-axis autopilot, typically it's going to have 4 servos. Then if I upgrade my display from that HSI there to a TXi, G500 TXi, you notice we don't need the mode enunciator up on top anymore because your mode enunciators are right on the top of the PFD, right here. All right? Just some of the pricing and delivery information. So GFC 600 has been certified in the A36, B55 variant. I apologize, I forgot to update this. It's already begun. That was last October. The prices depend on the aircraft and which configuration you get, but the GFC 600 will range from $19,000 to about $29,000, depending on how many servos you get and if you get electric pitch trim. The 182 Bonanza and B55 ranges from about 15 to 20, 29. All right. This is a GFC 600 that we had at Oshkosh. So G600, that would be G500 rather, dual GTN 750s, remote transponder and audio panel. Notice he put the controller underneath the primary flight display here, or under the MFD, but under the main display, because he wanted to put his engine instruments right there. So we have a lot of different options with that. That's one of the things you want to think about, where you want your autopilot controller. And that moves us into the TXi. So we've got 3 different form factors with the TXi, primary flight and multifunction displays. 7-inch vertical display, a 10.6-inch horizontal display, or a 7-inch landscape display. The 7-inch landscape is only available as an EIS. This 7-inch portrait can be primary flight display or multifunction display or EIS. But it has to be configured that way at installation, okay? Because if the installer is telling the FAA, hey, this thing is a primary flight display, it has to remain as a primary flight display all the time. But this 10.6, this is turning out to be one of the most popular options because you can put engine instruments on there and MFD and PFD. And just like Dave was showing, your second MFD right here, your HSI. So, next generation flight display, it's a touchscreen. It's also, though, all of the TXIs, both the 10.6-inch and the 7-inch TXI, have the Garmin triple action knob. It has a big knob, a little knob, and a push button, just like on the G1000. So you can actually use the TXi and not use the touchscreen if you choose not to. You're going to see in a moment, some of our customers love the touchscreen and use them all the time. Some of our customers don't love touchscreen only, and they want buttons and knobs. So we've got an option to give you all the buttons and knobs that you want. I'm going to show you that in a second. All right, so the system is designed as a building block. You can put 1, 2, 3, or 4 displays. The system can be configured as PFD, MFD, or EIS. There are 25 different approved panel layouts, so you've got a lot of good options with the TXi. The displays are available with their own AHRs. So, you know, our traditional primary flight displays, you have the display, you have an attitude hitting and reference system, that's one box that's remotely mounted. You have an air data computer, it's another box that's remotely mounted. And you have a magnetometer, that tells you where the heading is. third box that's remotely mounted. So now we're starting to see more integration in the displays. And why are we doing that? We have it as an option for customers if they want a less expensive installation path. They can get the display with the AHARS built right in. So, and then you can clip on the air data computer and clip on the engine computer, the GEA engine computer that hooks up to the probes, called the engine probes. All of those things can hang on that display unit. So that simplifies installation in some airplanes. So we've got 4 new systems, 4 TXIs. We've got the G500 TXIs for aircraft less than 6,000 pounds. We've got the G600 TXI for airplanes that weigh between 6,000 and 12,500 pounds. We've got the G700 TXI for mostly Part 25 business jets and Category 4 commuter class airplanes that weigh more than 12,500 pounds. And then we have EIS, Engine Indication System, TXI. And that's designed as either a standalone, you can get that as just its own display, or integrated into one of the other TXI screens. Currently compatible with Lycoming Continental, 4- and 6-cylinder, single engine or twin engine airplanes, with PT6 turbine integration coming about a year from now. So if you compare the TXI with our traditional G500 or 600, so it's about a 20% bigger screen. It's a touch screen. It doesn't have the old G500. We have that bar right down the middle that kind of sort of separates the two screens, so that took up a lot of space. It's a much cleaner design. It has a simplified interface. If you're using the knobs, use the big knobs. You ought to give it a try on the TXI. Use the big knob to go between the different fields, like your baro setting, or heading, or indicated airspeed, climb to descent, vertical speed. And then use the little knob to actually adjust that. Or touch it, tap it in, or touch it and use the knob, whichever way you prefer. So there's lots of options. So you've got a bigger screen, it's a faster processor, brighter screen. It's actually a dual core processor instead of a single core. It has an optional backup battery on the 7-inch version. Now, the backup battery, we've had a lot of requests for that. The current Garmin backup battery, the GBB54, the requirement for a backup battery is it has to be able to power the display for 30 minutes. Our backup battery can power the 7-inch display for 30 minutes, but it doesn't have enough juice to power the 10-inch display for 30 minutes. So if you want that backup battery, it will, you can do that on the 7-inch only. Now, if you want or need a standby display, we're showing the Mid-Continent MD302 as an approved standby display. We are testing the G5. It is not currently, I want to be clear, we do not currently have it approved as a standby. But if we do get it approved as a standby for the TXI, that's going to be very nice because it looks great, it's very functional, and it can do double duty. It can back up the TXI, and it would also provide the AHARS source for the GFC 500 Autopilot. All right. And you can do things like animated graphical weather and show all your weather radar functionality. The other thing about the TXI is it's got a single touch zoom. So you use pinch zoom on phone, Android or iPhone. You can do that on your HSI here, but it also has single touch zoom. So you just stroke the HSI up and it zooms right in. And you can overlay your position, your course, traffic, terrain, weather, all that information. ADS-BN, etc. Okay, buttons and knobs. So, depending on which autopilot you have, again, some of our customers have said they want buttons and knobs. Instead of going on the triple action knob and going to vertical speed, they want something that says vertical speed, like that right there. So, or if they want indicated airspeed, they want a knob that's explicitly backlit, labeled button or not functionality. So we offer that. I'm going to show you where and how it would work. So here we have a beach bearing with a G500 TXi with twin 6-cylinder Continental engine instrument on the right strip here. GTN 750 with GMA 35 Bluetooth audio panel, intelligence voice command. GTN 650 showing ADSB in from the GTX 345 remote transponder, and GFC 600 on the bottom. If you want the remote buttons, you can add that on the bottom, right there. So that's what it would look like. Okay? So, what can you do with it? You can have, the installer will configure some of the customized features. The pilot can change some of the configured features. So, if you want the primary flight display on the left side or the right side, let the installer know. So you can have it on the left or on the right. You can have a pilot selectable full screen PFD if you want. But remember, it's really not just a PFD, it's a PFD and an MFD because you have that HSI map in the middle. You can have it triple split with multifunction display on the left, primary flight display with HSI map, and dual EIS, dual engine EIS on the right. And by the way, with the engine strip there, when you have a new menu, when you decide to put that on the 10-inch TXi, when you go to menu, it has an additional engine screen, so your MFD can help you do functions like lean assist on your engines. So you can put the strip either on the right side or the left side and show a variety of information, however you want to do it. This is a nice co-pilot configuration, right? Maybe put the two PFDs, put the EIS strip on the right side, on the left, for the pilot, put it on the left side for the co-pilot. Here we have the optional synthetic vision with traffic. So if your ADSB-in GTX 345 traffic says, hey, there's traffic there, that is heading corrected with synthetic vision. So if you see it at 11 o'clock, look out the window, the airplane's right there. So it helps you visually acquire traffic faster than you would otherwise. Now you also have the 7-inch portrait display. So it's installer configurable as a primary flight display, as a multifunction display, or a dedicated EIS display, single or twin engine. And there's the landscape version. So, configuration. You have your GDU 1060, primary flight PFD MFD here. GMU 44, that's the magnetometer. That gives you the magnetic direction. GTP 59 is the temperature probe. And GSU 75, that's a remote attitude heading reference system and air data computer. Okay, that's one of the options you have. Now you can have the ARs built into the display. You can have a combination air data and ARs, or you can have the ARs and air data either in one box or in separate boxes. We have, for high performance aircraft, we've had some guys that own warbirds, jet warbirds, like from Vietnam War and Korean War, considering this system we have a upgraded AHARS you can put in there that will give you more than 7G capability, so full aerobatic capability. That's the same AHARS we put in the G5000 business jets. Okay, so GAD 43E, that's the happy box that lets the TXi display talk to a third-party autopilot. If you have, there's a big list of third-party autopilots that will work with the TXi. So it doesn't have to be a GFC 600, but you know, it will work with third-party autopilots. Either way. And the engine sensors from the GEA 110. That GEA 110 can either be mounted on the back of the display, or it can be mounted in the engine compartment. It's hardened and sealed environmentally sealed. So some of the installers are going to want to mount it closer to the engine to help fix the wiring. And then you can put an optional display for the Cockpit side as well, with its own ARs paired into computer. Okay. Let's see. So that's showing you, for example, if you want to change the heading, your Autopilot's in heading mode. If you just turn the little knob on the TXi, it's going to move the heading mode to wherever you go. If you hold it in, it centers. It comes right to your current heading. So if you, let's say you're flying along, we're heading 339 degrees here, and you want to, ATC says turn right to 345 degrees. You can touch it. You can touch it, a little keypad comes up, you can type 345, enter, and now you turn to 345. Pilot preference, you can have it either way, knobs or touchscreen. Little blow up on the HSI map. So again, high resolution, topo display, current position, GPS planned course with traffic, terrain, and weather overlay. Traffic and terrain. And safe taxi with the ADS-B color-coded targets we're talking about if you have the optional GTX 345. So if you have another option, if you want to have the Garmin backup display, you can do that with a 7-inch display with the Garmin backup battery. So this would be a nice configuration to show that. You can do a 7-inch primary flight display here with HSI MFD and dedicated EIS. Well, we have a lot of customers say, well, what happens if my EIS went out? Can I still see my engine instruments? The answer is yes, you can. If it goes out, it goes into reversionary mode and puts those engine instruments there on the bottom of the screen. Likewise, if you have a 10-inch, 10.6-inch PFD with the dedicated EIS over here, if that screen goes out, it will automatically put the engine instruments on the PFD. Or you can have your installer put them both on at the same time, if you want. That's why at the beginning of the presentation I showed you that TXi app for your iPad. If you're thinking about the TXi, please download that and give it a try, because there are a lot, this again is very, very customizable. And you want to kind of think through, so we talked about, you want to think through where you want traffic displayed in your plane, where you want your autopilot controller, where do you want your engine gauges displayed, same way. And you can answer a lot of those questions with that app. Okay. Now, Dave was talking about this a little bit. He uses the same simplified Garmin menu that all of our other portables and other systems use, including the Era 660, the GTN 750, and your Garmin control units, your touchscreen control units on the G5000. It's designed so you can get to any major function with just 2 button pushes. You know, home traffic, home terrain, home. On the G5000, obviously, you have a few more icons because you have pressurization and different systems that it's monitoring, but it's the same idea. The philosophy is if we've made it easy for pilots to understand and use, you'll use the equipment. You know, you don't want to have a $100,000 flight management system that's complicated, and when it comes crunch time, you can't program it at times, so you just hand fly the approach. Well, you know, why do you have automation? You want it to be usable and easy to use. And I think that a good piece of avionics, I had a professor tell me this, it was that it's intuitively obvious to the casual observer. It's a human factor scanning. Intuitively obvious to the casual observer. And that's, I think, what our engineers have achieved at Garmin. It's easy to make something be difficult. It's difficult to make it simple. And they've done a pretty good job of making it simple. Okay. So, you notice it looks very much like the GTN. That's by design. So the traffic's going to look the same. It's going to have the same target trend, relative motion vectors. It's going to have, when you see the flight plan, it's going to look the same as the GTN. The terrain's going to look the same. The radar looks the same. Everything is right there. We've added some new features. So let's say that you fly an airplane that's shared with another pilot. And I like to fly heading up, and he likes to fly north up. He's been out on a trip, I come back, and I look at the plane, put it back north up. So you got to go in there and reset it, right? Well, now, you can memorize your configuration and put it exactly the way you want it. So these are all the Garmin RSMs here. There's me, Joe. So I hit the Joe button, and it's just the way I want it. Automatically ready to go. Now, you could use this also if it was a flight school. The flight school was using TXi or a charter fleet that's a bigger aircraft. If you wanted all of the TXIs to look and behave exactly the same for training purposes, you could have a standardized fleet standard profile. You click that, and it's back to the profile that you learned when you originally learned the system. So it's a very good improvement there. Other nice thing, yeah, I'll show you that engine stuff in a second. Okay. You can export it from one TXi equipped airplane and take it out to another one. So that would be the fleet application. So the EIS, you have rich of peak, lean of peak, turbine inlet temperature, exhaust gas temperature, fuel computer, pilot configurable advisories. So this is a touchscreen EIS, touchscreen engine instrument system. So the pilot can, just like on the GTN or the other TXi features, you can select what you see on your EIS. The installer can select with you where you have your RPM gauge, where you have your turbine inlet temperature gauge, where you have your exhaust gas temperature gauge. The point is that this is one of the first systems that allows the owner to customize their engine gauges the way you want it. The other nice thing about this is that you can set up pilot-configured exceedance alerts. So let's say that you want to be really nice to your airplane. We'll just use a piston airplane as an example. You don't want to exceed 2,700 RPMs. You can set up an exceedance to blink a light at you when you get to 2,600. Just to kind of say, hey, you're getting close to red line, right? So you can set those up, customized. And so that's a nice feature. Okay. Let's move ahead. I want to show you, yes, this. Engine data logging. Now, we were talking about the FlightStream 510 before, that you can do the database concierge, update your databases. You can do two-way flight plan transfer. Well, a really cool new feature you can do with the TXi, with EIS, and FlightStream 510 is engine data logging. So if you've ever been flying your airplane and you're going over water, the engine just kind of sounds a little rough, or hiccups, well, now when you land, you can Wi-Fi your engine data to your iPad running Garmin Pilot with that little subscription card that you now have. And then you take it into the FBO or take it home and upload it to Fly Garmin. Then from the Fly Garmin site, you get this information here on the bottom right. You get a map showing where you flew. You have all of your engine cylinder performance right there, your engine temperatures right here. You can even see an attitude indicator and a course deviation indicator. You can relive the whole flight. Well, and then if you see that, hey, one of my cylinders spiked, number 4 cylinder spiked, and stayed hot, you're giving your mechanic better information when you get back. Hey, check my number 4 cylinder. Download the file. Here it is. Yeah. What software? It's on the Fly Garmin site. You can download the parameters into an Excel file. There may be other formats. I'm not sure. It's projected on the webpage. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what the. That would be, it would be on the Fly Garmin website. No, it would be on the Fly Garmin website. Yeah, with your account. to your airplane, and then you can pull that up. Yep. Okay. This same idea, just that, you know, this is a pretty hot area right now. You know, the engine diagnostics. Embry-Riddle up in Daytona, they're using one of our systems with the G1000 where they download, they pull up to the ramp. It uploads the engine data from the last student's flight. If the pilot exceeded some parameter, they can flag it instantly and ground the airplane. So, you know, 10 more students don't fly a damaged engine or something. He goes out and overrides it, for example. So this type of monitoring is really gaining popularity, and that's just another feature when you combine the TXi, a lot of acronyms, TXi with EIS and Garmin Pilot working together. Okay, so lots of additional features. Database Concierge integrates with popular autopilots, including the GFC 600. We're working to have the TXi work with the GFC 500 if we get that standby approval done. Wire strike, we talked about. Smart airspace, so if you're flying into the Miami Class B, it will take your altitude into account and will de-emphasize the inverted wedding cake, Class B airspaces, and only emphasize those slices of airspace that are relevant to you at the altitude you're flying. So it just helps you fly through complex airspace. It simplifies it. Jepson VFR manual, dot-leg charts for folks flying in Europe, and European visual recording points. So this is kind of what we talked about today. You got 3 display options. You can do G5 on the left. You can do a 7-inch TXi or a 10-inch, 10.6-inch TXi. The 7-inch can be a PFD, an MFD, or EIS. And the 10-inch can be a full screen or full screen with PFD. Now, if you have it full screen without the EIS here, you hit MFD, it'll go 2/3, 1/3. The PFD will be 2/3 side and 1/3 for the MFD. If you have the EIS here, it'll go from 2 to 3 screens, triple split. So when you configure your TXi, you want to think through, do you want the engine instruments on the PFD? Most of our customers are saying yes, they do, because it's so convenient having it right there. So let's look at some panels. All right, so this is a Baron. Got dual 7-inch TXIs, GTN 750, Flightstream 510, GTN 650, and GFC 600 down below. Option 2 is we added the little annunciator up on top there. Now again, you're going to have autopilot mode annunciators from your GFC 600 there. Some pilots want a more explicit, hey, I'm in heading mode. You can have it. Some pilots may want buttons and knobs for your PFD controller, in addition to the very capable system that's already on it. Or this pilot wants full screen, dual split, so he's got a 2/3 side PFD with 1/3 MFD on the left, with a with the 7-inch EIS, and then the instrument stack over on the right side. Now this one, I think, my personal preference is not to reach all the way over there if you don't have to. Now some of the configurations, because of how the yoke is set up, they're required to move that stack over to the right, but I kind of like having it in the middle if you can do that. This configuration allows you to do that. So here we have the 10-inch TXi with engine instruments right there on that right strip, and then you've got your GTNs and your autopilot controller within easy reach, right? This one, if you want the buttons and knobs moving here, now we were talking before, you can show the engine instruments simultaneously on dual or more TXI. So here, you've got your full-time engine instruments, but for pilot convenience, he has it over here on the PFD as well. Or, make that a PFD. You don't have to have the engines over there, because you already have them here on the PFD. Or dual 10-inch with EIS on the inside. Isn't that nice? GTN 750, 650, GSC 600 in the middle. Or dual 750s. Now the last one, we had the 750, 650 Autopilot. If you wanted these dual 750s in the middle, that's getting kind of close to your throttle quadrant here. So they moved the Autopilot controller here. So now you've got Autopilot enunciations here and on top. Easy access to your GTN for both pilot and co-pilot. Right? You know, you think about it, you've got 6 MFDs on this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you triple split to the right side, 5, 6. So you can show any of the systems we talked about, traffic, terrain, weather, on any of those displays. So they're all hooked up via high-speed data bus. And there are all the options. Sorry about the eye test there. But Flightstream 510, GFC 600, GAD 43E, if you had a third-party Autopilot. If you have the GFC 600, you don't need that interface box. It hooks up directly to the system. GDL 69 is if you want to add XM weather and music to the airplane. GCU 485 is that PFD controller that was under here. You know, you've got everything right in that stage. You might consider the PFD controller on the top, as we've done on some of the integrated flight decks, but again, it's just something you want to think through with your installer. GRA 55 is our radar altimeter, so that gives you height above ground at all times, so that's this nice flare assist on a fixed-wing airplane. Very, very popular option for helicopter pilots. GMC 35 remote Bluetooth audio panel, control through the GTN 750 with intelligent voice command, dual 750s, GTS 825 active traffic with 40 nautical mile range. And again, it has the combines with the GTX 345 for blended ADS-B and TCAS traffic. If you get the 40-mile range system, you can do an enablement later to increase the range to 80 nautical miles, and it turns it into a TCAS 1 system, just with the software enablement. So that's a nice option. GTX 345R and our GWX70 solid state color Doppler weather radar with 320 nautical mile range, dual scan, lateral and vertical modes, weather attenuated color highlight, and displays on both GTNs and both TXIs. You can from one weather radar, because they're all on the high-speed data bus, you can have one scanning laterally and on another screen have it scanning vertically at the same time from the same radar. We have a trade-in program we talked about. If you have a G500 or G600 now, it's $2,000 off the list price of a 10.6-inch G500 TXi display. Or if you're trading in the display for the G600, remember, you don't have to buy the AHRS and air data computer and all that. That all stays, remains in the aircraft, and the new TXi display uses that same, those same infrastructure from the older system. And that's available, that trade-in is available through June 30th, 2018. Just a quick reminder, we have a promotion on the GTX 335. That's our ADS-B out-only transponder. It's a little brother product of the 345. So this takes care of out compliance. It's controllable through the GTN, and it is a good solution if you just want a minimally invasive solution. And it's for $29.95. The GTX 345 is $2,000 more. It's $49.95. So for that $2,000 difference, with the 345, you're getting the dual-in receiver. You're getting AHRS and Bluetooth all built into the transponder. So this one, the 335 does not have that.